Hey, everybody. Look at that. All right, so I am going to record the next episode here of the Traders Podcast. I figured while we sit here on Periscope together, I don't see any reason why that would be a complete terrible idea. So, welcome. Howdy. I'll even play the music and everything. Why don't we do that? Why don't we play the music and everything? I don't know if I can play the music and everything and do this, but welcome to the show. We're going to broadcast episode 542 of the Traders Podcast live here on Periscope. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let Boris Schlossberg know, or somebody else who cares if you like it or not know. I guess I do care about you, but anyway, I got to do this. So let's get on this train right now. All right, welcome to episode 542, my friends. And for those of you joining here on Periscope, I know who you are. I'm broadcasting this on Periscope Live while I record this episode. I thought that would be kind of fun if we would, share a moment together, an intimate moment, while I record a Traders Podcast episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody. As many of you know, I have a new radio show in the United States on Business Talk Radio and a brand new podcast, a longer format podcast, just like the Traders Podcast, only smaller, only actually larger and better. That's the Booker Report. You can find it at thebookerreport.com/listen. You can find it at the Booker Report. You can also find it at the Booker Report, because pretty much that's where everything is. You can search for it on iTunes, the Booker Report, or on SoundCloud as well. There's a website. And let's get into today's episode. Recently, I taught a class on affirmations. If you're not familiar with what an affirmation is a statement of conviction stated and spoken in the positive. So, like if you have a goal to write a book, you might write something down as an affirmation that says, I easily write one page of my book every day. That's an affirmation. That's a goal. It's a process. You could also say, I easily finish my next book within 60 days. That would be an affirmation. That would be a great affirmation. Well, I got a message from my friend Daniel, and I just absolutely loved this message, and I want to read it to you. Hi, Rob. I just finished the affirmations course. I liked it. My question is regarding using certain charged words. For example, just like you say not to use don't in your positive affirmation statement, I'm wondering how to deal with other words like debt. Like if I say I am debt-free as my daily affirmation, is that okay? Or should I avoid the word debt as it conjures up all that bad stuff? I could change it to I have more assets than liabilities, but it feels so distant and objective to connect with it on a feeling and emotional basis. I find myself writing it, but also thinking it's very unrealistic as I'm still struggling to make ends meet, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to feel like that. That's a really great question. Let's just start there. Affirmations really aren't about how you feel about your non-successful things. It's really about how you feel, Daniel, about the stuff that you want. All of us have parts of our lives that aren't necessarily positive and aren't necessarily good and aren't necessarily what we want out of life right now. And so we have certain emotions about that. We have certain feelings of disappointment or regret or embarrassment or shame or whatever. But affirmations are really about focusing on the emotions that we're going to feel when we have what we want. Imagine in your mind right now that you've already achieved what you want to achieve. Imagine in your mind that you've already gotten what it is that you strive to achieve and that you've already accomplished the goal that you wanted and that you've set out to do, that debt is gone, Daniel. What emotion do you feel now? That's what affirmations are about. And although there are certain charged words, don't, can't, won't, wouldn't, should, and stuff like that, we're not as necessarily concerned about whether or not you use those words. And we're more concerned with, does this goal inspire you, motivate you, and charge you up? Does it fill you with energy to imagine that? Now, why does this relate to trading? Well, I recently started a newsletter with trade alerts. It's called the Booker Report Insider, and it's amazing, and it's 27 cents a day, and you can get it at thebookerreport.com. And I realized I'm putting myself on the hook to send out a trade alert every single day, one for the currency market, maybe more for the currency market, one for the stock market, and an ETF. And that's a little bit of pressure for a little boy like me. That kind of scares me sometimes. And I thought to myself, hey, self, hey, self, and then, yes, yeah, what's up? And why don't I do an affirmation about this? That would be a great idea. If I do an affirmation about this, then what I'm going to be able to do is potentially make it easier for myself. And how would I feel if it was easy every day to come up with a trade idea? I would feel incredible if that were the case. So guess what? Guess what? I wrote an affirmation that said, on a day when I was stuck, it's just one day when I was stuck, I said, I easily come up with trade ideas for my brilliant, lovely family of subscribers. And it worked. Right? Isn't that crazy? I pulled up the chart. I started scanning some stuff. I read a Business Insider article about stocks that were dropping that hedge fund managers had really liked. Next thing you know, I had an idea. All right, he continues, I find myself writing it, but also thinking it's very unrealistic as I'm still struggling to make ends meet. Hey, Daniel, it's unrealistic that I have any subscribers to anything. It's unrealistic. It wasn't supposed to happen. My high school college guidance counselor suggested when I was a freshman in high school that I consider dropping out of high school and going to learn how to fix cars. Now, beside the fact that sometimes I wish I was fixing cars instead of some of the things that I've done, let me just say for the record that it was pretty unrealistic for everybody that I was going to do much of anything. I was not a good student. I was not a good boy. I did not have my shiz together. Whether or not your goals are realistic, who wants a realistic goal? There's a real big difference between realism, pessimism, optimism. There's differences there. But why don't you just focus on something unrealistic but just creates pure joy in you? And what if at the end of the day you're only 25% less in debt when you finish it up? Now, if you're a trader out there and you're struggling with trade ideas, or you're struggling with discipline in your trading, affirmations are one of the ways that you can dramatically improve on that. Now, later on today, I'm going to record tomorrow's episode of the Booker Report. And when I do that, I'm going to expand further on Daniel's question inside of that broadcast. But for now, I'm super happy to have seen you here today. And that's it for this episode. I'm going to speak to our friends on Periscope here for a few more minutes for a little bonus time. Daniel, thanks for your question. If you've got a question for the show, you can text me at 304-281-8332, and you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the United States of America. Love to hear from you. And you can get more information about the Booker Report Insider, those trade alerts, and that monthly newsletter at thebookerreport.com. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Traders Podcast. All right, so now, my friends on Periscope, what I do now is I take this audio file, and what I do is I drop in that end music. Oh, there's a little bonus there. You got to see my children. All right, so now I drop in the music that goes at the end of the podcast here. And that's just going to take me one brief moment to do that. And I'll just, check and see. And then we're going to have a little bit more of maybe a little bit further conversation about Daniel and affirmations, because I've heard a lot of you recently talk to me about what you're working on. If you're outside the United States of America, love to hear from you. Yeah, that music is perfect. Now I'll just save this file. Thanks for joining me on Periscope. This is kind of fun. I don't know if you like doing this, but this is kind of my new idea is to do more of this kind of stuff. Okay, and then we're going to call it Affirmations from Daniel. Okay, so let's have a conversation with you about that. So the deal is, do affirmations should you be setting realistic goals? And my answer is no, you should not be setting realistic goals. Realistic goals are uninteresting, uninspiring, not motivating, not going to get you to where you want to go. If you're going to take the time to set a goal and get convicted about it, why wouldn't you set a goal that is a little bit of a stretch? Why wouldn't you try to do something that's a little bit difficult? Why wouldn't you consider pushing the boundaries that you've had previously? Anybody can set a goal and say, oh, I want to pay off a little bit of my debt, or I want to pay off one credit card. I don't know if that's inspiring enough to get you to hop out of bed in the morning and jump to it or whatever. So I say when you start thinking about setting these goals and doing these things, go ahead and be unrealistic about a fairly or reasonably large number of those goals. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll be back. I mean, if you're interested in this, I'll be back on a regular basis here on Periscope, and you can get more information about everything that I'm doing at thebookerreport.com. And this upcoming Saturday is the class on how to add to your winning and losing positions. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you soon, everybody. Bye for now. Of course, I don't even know how to end this. How do you even do it? All right, let's see here. Swipe down to stop broadcast. Bye, everyone.